Khamzat Chimaev is probably one of the most highly touted prospects that we've ever seen. I mean, you have people talking about him all the time, right? Saying like, "Oh, I've never seen anybody like this kid." And if you look at what he's accomplished inside the UFC in just 4 fights so far, and the fact that he's already going to be fighting the number 2 ranked guy in the division, I mean, it's a meteoric rise, right? It's reminiscent a little bit of like what Cody Garbrandt did and how quickly he got to the title. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at just like what makes him so successful and how he's able to get started so quickly in his fights and start so aggressively, and why it gives his opponent so many problems, right? So we're going to be breaking that down. One favor I'm going to ask you guys, if you enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments who you think's going to win the fight this weekend between Burns and Chimaev at UFC 273, because I think it's a massive leap up in competition for Burns, for Chimaev. But if you look at what Chimaev's accomplished and like what we're going to look at in today's video, you kind of go, man, it's almost feels justified. Like, I know he's a huge favorite. I think it's a little maybe overinflated, but still. Anyway, we're going to break this down now. Like I said, thank you guys for tuning in, and let's get started. Okay, so Khamzat's first fight in the UFC is against John Phillips, right? And this is literally the very start of the round. Like, they just met in the center of the cage. And the first thing that we're going to take a look at that Khamzat does really, really well is he gets his opponent's hands moving up or down depending on what he's doing. And in this case, look, he's going to offer up offense. He's going to step forward. And he also, guys, the thing that he really does is he commits with the offensive striking that he's throwing. Like, he commits hard to it. There's a threat there. You guys know that if you saw the Gerald Meerschaert fight, right? Like, there's a real legitimate threat there. And here he's going to step forward, and he commits to this kick. Look, right into the ribs of John Phillips. This is going to draw a counter out of John Phillips, right? So Khamzat, first thing he does is he's going first, and then he's getting you to respond in some way. Whether it's defensively or offensively, in this case, John Phillips takes the offensive route, right? He throws a right hand. And also, guys, look at the technique that Khamzat's throwing the strikes with. Look, his hand is up to defend. So when Phillips counters with this right hand, look how he deflects the blow. And he sees them loading up to throw the left hand around, and he's already dipping underneath and changing levels. He's anticipating all of this. So he's coming out aggressive. He's throwing something and committing to it. And then he's getting underneath the opponent and anticipating what they're going to do, right? And then once he makes his read, boom, he's gone. So dipping underneath the offense of John Phillips and that big left hook, he overextends. And look how easy this double leg is going to be, guys. Look, he gets around the legs, drives through, and boom, we're on the ground. The next fight we're going to take a look at is Rhys McKee. Right? Okay. And it's going to be the same concept, guys. Very start of the round. Look, they just meet in the center of the cage. He's stepping forward and throwing a big right hand that he's committing with and that you have to respect. Look how it's going to draw the left hand up. Look how he's trying to deflect it already. But Khamzat is already underneath you. This is what I mean. He comes out and immediately again sets the pace, right? And he's anticipating what you're going to do. And once he gets it, you either have to put your hands, you know the shot's coming, or you know he's going to hit you with something, right? So it's like, if you're waiting, and most of the people wait because he comes out and sets the tone aggressively, he goes first, right? Like, if you're trying to anticipate what he's going to do, like in this case, McKee's anticipating a striking exchange and Khamzat just dips underneath. And the next thing, look, he's already around the hips. The next thing we're going to look at, and it's kind of a nice flow right here, is how well he chain wrestles guys. Watch how the initial takedown, like we just saw against John Phillips, boom, first entry, got it down, right? Here, McKee does a little bit of a better job defending, starts getting his hips back and looking to sprawl. But watch how, we're going to fast forward through it, but just watch how he's constantly chain wrestling. Look, until he finally completes it, right? So the next element of his game that makes him so successful is he's great at getting in on his shots. He has legitimate power that you have to respect and well-refined striking technique, right? And on top of all that, if he gets in on the initial entry and doesn't complete the takedown right away, he chains things together off of it and keeps going until he eventually gets you to the ground. And even if he runs into guys who can defend the first, second stage, they're not usually able to keep up with him as he starts advancing into the third, fourth, and fifth transition, right? So that's the next piece of his game that really makes him so dangerous. And in this next fight, that we're going to look at here. Sorry, guys, I fast forwarded too far. In the next fight we're going to look at here between Chimaev and Meerschaert, you're going to get a really good example of like, now Meerschaert knows, he's seen this guy fight. He's like, oh, this guy's throwing stuff too. But again, he's waiting. He's against the cage. He's moving towards the power hand of Chimaev. Look, he's moving to Chimaev's right. This is good for Chimaev. But it's also like, we're going to get an example here of, oh, guys are moving their hands up to respect his striking. In this case, though, again, you got a guy in Meerschaert who's waiting, and his hands are actually, when Chimaev sets up, I think Meerschaert's anticipating a shot here, and his hands are actually going to go down. Look how they start to move downwards, like he's anticipating a shot coming in and getting ready to dig for underhooks. And instead, Chimaev, knowing that he has the cage there, and that the ability of Meerschaert to move backwards and out of the way, the shot isn't there, decides to actually commit to the punch and knocks him the fuck out. Boom, already, consciousness gone, right? So it's like, there's just one more element, guys, is that and the problem that everybody runs into is they try to wait and counter. But he's waiting on that because he's anticipating your counter and he's making a read, and boom, he's in on it already. And he's beating you to the punch, like quite literally. And here, Meerschaert, again, waiting, moving in the wrong direction. And look, hands go down, and the punch comes through and connects. The next fight that we're going to take a look at is Chimaev's most recent bout against Li Jingliang. And this is probably like where you get to see, like, because as you start moving up through the ranks, people's defense and stuff, it becomes more layered, right? So people are like, they're better, right? They're better for a reason. They have more layers to their game in terms of like the ability to defend things. And here, look again. Chimaev comes out, he throws a left hand here, and look how Li Jingliang is already responding with offense, right? He's bringing that right hand around. So again, Chimaev comes out immediately and he throws the first strike. He initiates the offense. He gets something coming out of Li Jingliang, and he dips underneath it, and he's already to the hips. Do you guys see how it's all planned? It's his anticipation. It's the threat of real, legitimate knockout power, and it's the fact that he can do what he's going to do right here. And look, the first one doesn't work. Second one doesn't work. Third one, he's from around to the back. And now we're to the ground, right? So it's his ability to chain wrestle. It's like all of these different factors, right, that make him so successful. But in my opinion, I think the most important thing that he does is he comes out and he sets the tone immediately. He's always the one initiating. He's always the one pushing forward. He's always the one throwing the first punch. And when he does that, and because he's aggressive and moving forward, like you have to make a decision and you have to make it quickly. So if your hands go up, he's going underneath them. If your hands go down to defend the shot, well, his knockout power is real. So he can just come over the top, right? And if he's backing you up against the cage, that's an even worse problem. So it's going to be interesting to see what the game plan of Gilbert Burns is to deal with this. I mean, I don't know. I'm no fucking like expert, right? But I would imagine that you got to be thinking about going first and not committing to anything too much, like keeping a jab in his face. Maybe trying, I don't know, kicks seem a little bit dangerous, but you just got to be keeping work in his face so that he's not the one drawing reactions out of you, because that's what he's waiting for, and he's anticipating them. And when he's anticipating things that you're going to do, I mean, he's already moving through stuff before you can even get down to defend it, right? So that's what makes him so dangerous. And the presence of real knockout power, it makes it so much tougher to deal with, right? But anyway, guys, that's what I think, like, you hear all this hype about this guy, and it's like, it's kind of valid. You look at the way he sets things up, and I mean, it's pretty impressive how much you have to respect every piece of his game. And I think that's what makes him, you know, this fucking incredible hype machine. And I think that he has real potential to live up to it. But we're going to find out for sure on Saturday night, right, when he fights Gilbert Burns. That's a big challenge. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content, like I said, do me a favor, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and let me know what you guys think of the matchup this weekend. I'm excited for it. But anyway, thank you guys again. Bye-bye.